Hello and welcome to our ClapperCast episode today. I'm your host, as always, Carson Tamar, joined by the iconic king of Burbank himself, Michael Fairbanks. Michael, probably because we shut down the podcast for a few months, but you've not been on here for a while. How have you been doing, buddy?
Not too bad. Happy to be back. Happy to see the podcast alive and kicking and back once again. Hope it's been going well. Haven't listened. I know you've had what? I know you've had what, one or two episodes
We had
since.
one. Yeah, everything everywhere all at once. Can't believe you
How'd that
didn't.
go?
It went fine.
That's
Are you a
good.
big, do you like everything everywhere? I forget.
No,
Sorry.
I do like it. It's just more that it was just a whole year and literally a whole year because it started in March of just like the same conversation about the same
Sure.
movie 400 times. It doesn't matter what movie it was. I just can't do it. I just can't
Hey,
have
you know
enough.
what? I wanted those clicks, so I did it. But I
Oh,
agree. I can never talk about that movie again, and I'll be happy, even though I do like it. Though I know Paul hates it, but side point. So today we have a little bit of a treat, at least for me, at least, because we have a new Wes Anderson feature. So let's go ahead and take a look at Asteroid City, and then we'll come back and discuss.
Junior stargazers and space cadets. Each year we celebrate Asteroid Day, commemorating September 23rd, 3007 BC, when the arid plains meteorite made Earth impact.
Holy Toledo, that's Mitch Campbell.
You're very good in the one about the tramp in the brothel who gets amnesia and becomes a pediatrician. You were very authentic.
Actually, maybe my favorite character ever.
I don't know why nobody else liked it.
Oh.
Okay, and Michael, I think it's probably the most helpful because I have no idea what your opinions are on most films because I don't really talk to you about film that much. What are your thoughts on Wes Anderson? I would just love to get like a base level going into this movie. Let's save the discussion of the movie for a second. What are your thoughts on Wes Anderson as a director? Do you like his work? What are his history there?
I would say overall, yes. I would say that there are movies by him. I would say the majority of them I like or love.
Okay.
I'd say my favorites would be Royal Tenenbaums, Grand Budapest, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and there's one more I'm forgetting. Moonrise Kingdom, which is very funny because I wrote a paper on Moonrise Kingdom. Some very unique choices there, I know. But my thing is that I think when he misses, boy, does he miss. And I think that there are movies like Rushmore, which I thought was incredibly creepy, laid the foundation for Licorice Pizza, if you ask me. And look, I hated Rushmore so much. Isle of
Valid.
Dogs, garbage. French Dispatch was garbage.
I'll give you that one, yeah.
I think he becomes such a victim of his own style. And I think that when he's telling a simple story and his characters are well calibrated and compelling, I think he's great. When he gets very heady and conceptual, I think he's terrible at it, to be honest. I think simplicity is his friend and conceptual work is his worst enemy, which brings us to
Asteroid City. Yeah, it's a really great lead-in to this film. In case you don't know, if you've not seen the film already, Asteroid City is a play within the film, obviously kind of standard Wes Anderson stuff there, but done, we'll get to it. But about a little town in the desert where all these kids come to test out and show off their inventions, and they end up meeting an alien, and things go kind of haywire. Michael, I'll let you start because I know you have a very strong, I think maybe the strongest letterboxd reaction I've seen out of anyone, out of any film. I know you're not a big fan of this one.
No. Before I get into it, though, are you on the same page as me about Wes? Or are you more?
Yes, I am overall. Well, I'd say I'm more, I would say like everything outside of French Dispatch, I at least respect / enjoy. I agree, I'm very cold on Rushmore. Probably those two are at the bottom. But I do enjoy, I specifically enjoyed, I think, since, well, Royal Tenenbaums, I think, is one of the best films ever made. And then you get into, I love his animated work. I do love Isle of Dogs. Sad to hear that, but whatever. It's okay if you hate dogs like a maniac.
No, I just hate
But
racism.
but yeah, that too. I mean, okay, okay. Sure. You know what? Fine. But yes, I do overall enjoy Wes, but I was really worried about Asteroid City because after COVID, he came through with all these ideas, and the first one was French Dispatch, which I think is a pile of garbage. You can go find our podcast review. I think that is just like from like an idea standpoint to the execution, trash. So I was like, oh god, Wes, I want to love you, buddy.
Yeah.
And then Asteroid City came, and I really enjoyed Asteroid City. But I'll let you get on
And
your
yeah, no, I can
complaints.
jump in now. I did want to get your,
Absolutely.
because I think it's really important to have a standpoint on Wes
Sure.
Anderson going into this one in particular, because it seems to me like all the people who really, really like this movie are very into Wes and are very into a deconstructionist take on his work.
Well, we have
Me,
to be clear that with a filmmaker like Wes Anderson, who's very well known, his name really means something, I guess, in the film Twitter universe. There's going to be people with every project who just likes it, no matter what, right? Same
absolutely.
with every other director out there who's some name. Whatever Jane Campion does next, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely garbage, but I'm sure film Twitter will love it. Like, I can already tell you that going in. So I think that's important to note, is I don't know necessarily how many of these people are like real.
Yeah, no, that's true, and I think a lot of them went to Cannes, and
Yeah.
when they're at Cannes, they're being nice. For me, I think Asteroid City currently I have it ranked as my third worst movie of the year.
Wow.
Be in front of Murder Mystery 2 and
Oh.
65. I thought that this movie was drivel, just a ponderous, boring, just I stumble to say idiotic because I know that Wes is a smart guy. And I know that he's sophisticated, and I know that, like, in actuality he is smarter than I'll ever be. This movie is the stuff is it's just completely smooth-brained. It takes a two concepts that are just dead on arrival. You've got the whole thing that you mentioned about the setup with, oh, this is I and let me preface this, and I think that this is part of my stems a part of my annoyance. I'm getting really sick of meta stuff. I think it's becoming a crutch. I think it's becoming lazy. I think it's becoming just like a way to score easy points with a very online audience. The second you start breaking the fourth wall or like being very like deconstructionist in a way that you're literally almost telling the audience like you're watching a movie, do you get it? The second this movie started and Bryan Cranston came on screen and went, the long awaited work of playwright Charles John Seymour the Third Esquire, I knew we were fucked. And that whole opening with the play, you can just tell that he thinks this whole thing is painfully clever. And all it is just clutter and just extra setup and extra just like thematic garbage that is really honestly just, it feels so obviously just like Wes being like, I'm deconstructing my creative process and it's so brilliant and deep. And it's like, I like when directors do that, but when they take a more like subtle hand. This was more like Bryan Cranston literally stepping out of the screen and being like, do you get it? We're deconstructing Wes's work. Do you get it? The playwright is him. And then the actual like Asteroid City storyline, better, but crappy all the same. You've got this you've got this cavalcade of A-list celebrities who are for the most part phenomenal actors. And they sit there and stand around, say this stilted dialogue, and just do this. Oh no, we're trapped here. Were you an adult film star? It's just like mindless director drivel. It's a movie that's made for directors to watch and fuck all else. To be honest, when it got a B cinema score, I was shocked to see that because I genuinely don't understand how anyone who is just like an average regular Joe who has no relationship to Wes Anderson's work could watch that. And I struggle with this word because I think it's overused. How you could not look at it as entirely elitist and utterly pretentious. I was bored the entire time. I would hesitate to say that there was even one scene that I liked. I would say would say that I think it's his worst film. I think it's his most indulgent film. It's his worst acted. It is his worst paced. Pretty much the low point of his entire career. Pitiful. There you go.
So you're not going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
voting
Yeah.
it for Best Picture.
And
Got
this
it.
is me. This is me being happier too. When we all saw it, we were. I was with Paul, friend of the show, and
Okay.
and Paul's friend was sitting next to us. 10 minutes in, she literally reclines her chair back and turns over to sleep. She's like,
Wow, we both saw this with people who fell asleep during it.
right? Because how could you not? How could you
That says
not?
something.
If you're not just like if you're not just incredibly turned on by, ooh, it's like Wes is talking to us. Like if that doesn't grab you, and the other two friends that we went with, this was their first ever Wes Anderson movie.
Oh God.
I kind of talked them into it. I was like, look, with Wes, it's either going to be great or really, really bad, but just kind of go with it. You'll know within the first 10 minutes if this is something that you'll actually want to like sit there and watch. And literally, they were looking at me the entire movie from across the theater because they were sitting a little bit on the side of us, and they were both looking at me the whole time like, fuck, what did you drag us to? So yeah, it's just like that. That's what I mean when I say like I don't get how any conventional audience could come at this movie with
Sure.
anything but disdain. But please explain, mansplain this movie to me.
Right.
Does any review I've read has been insufferable? Please do. I'd love to. Love to hear
I'll
it.
give you some things I think you're correct on. I think the play is like the framing of the play is atrocious. Not even like conceptually, like this is something Wes does. I cannot think of another Wes Anderson project where it's so intrusive and it just keeps coming back for such prolonged amounts of time, and it feels like you're endlessly there. And then we're casting the play, and then we have this random weird sequence where we're saying you have to go to sleep to wake up, and it's like, okay, it's not good. And the thematic way, I think this movie has a lot it's trying to say. I don't think it has anything to do with the play sequence. None of my arguments come for that. I think it looks good, right? Wes does know how to direct. He does know how to shoot shots and do cinematography, which I think is, when you get to the Asteroid City part, one of the giant highlights is just this film is visually stunning. And the production design is, especially when you look into the fact that they built this entire town for him, I think it's really, really impressive. But I have no excuse for the play. I like Bryan Cranston. I'm happy he's getting money. I guess I'll give him that. But other than that, not a lot there. But transferring to the actual Asteroid City itself, I was definitely a little bit cold at first, just trying to work out what the film is doing, what the film is trying to say. And I agree, the cast is actually, I think, wildly not impressive. I think it's wildly forgettable when you look at the sheer amount of talent. I mean, they have the opening crawl with the credits, and it's like fucking unbelievable. It's like Avenger Endgame times 3, right? It's like, wow. And then it's just like, no one really gives. I think Steve Carell is kind of good here and there. I don't think anyone else is super memorable. I'm really confused by everyone trying to say like, oh, this is like the best ensemble. These have the best Wes Anderson performances, which I'm seeing from a lot of people. Look at Royal Tenenbaums, which I just rewatched. Every single performance in that film is fucking spectacular, and it's unique, and it's memorable, and it has heart and soul and layers. And this just feels a lot of the writing, especially the comedy, also does feel, I'll give you, very like generic, one-dimensional, almost like if like, this is harsher than I want to be on the film, but it's like if SNL did like a Wes Anderson parody where you have the style and you have the, pacing, you have the tone, but that soul isn't really there for a lot of it. The one place where it really started to work to me was towards the end, where I really started to understand what Wes Anderson, I think, was trying to say in this film. And for me, this is a very like COVID based film. I think it's really hard to not come away with that. The town literally goes under lockdown. But when Wes Anderson is, I would say, exploring in this film is, how do you find normalcy, or how do you just move on when everything in life changes? And there's big moments of that, there's small moments of that. Obviously, the big one we would talk about is COVID, but there's always these events, whether it's you breaking your favorite cup, let's say, whether it is a submarine getting lost trying to find the Titanic and a bunch of billionaires dying. There is these moments where you have this break from normalcy that you can never return to that place before. And in this, he's having two of these moments. He has a father trying to deal with the death of his wife, and then you have this town who sees an alien. And both of these events radically change their lives. Obviously, there's no going back to it. I don't know if I can say the film like finds stunning breakthroughs on it. I think this is feeling very much so more like Wes Anderson meditating and looking for answers rather than providing answers. I don't know, maybe that was supposed to come in the play section of it, really not sure where. But in that, I found that this film was thematically rich enough for me to embrace and get into, with this style being strong enough that I was able to enjoy it. It's definitely not like top tier Wes Anderson or anything. I think this is one where I don't know if he just wrote a ton during COVID. I don't know what it is. He's making a shit ton of films now. But it feels like one where he had this idea, but he never really was able to come to the conclusion. I don't know. Were you able to see any of that in the film?
Oh, 100%. And I also agree with you that the visual style definitely does a lot of heavy lifting. I would never, ever say that a Wes Anderson movie is anything other than gorgeous looking. And I also think that with this recent influx of AI recreations of his work and people on TikTok doing recreations of his work, which he hates, which I think is very funny. I think it is a testament to the fact that an artist can have a singular style that is important and can't be replicated by a machine or other people. I completely agree with what you said about the setting of Asteroid City, how beautiful it was, how handcrafted it was. If this movie were to get nominated for Best Production Design or something like that, I would absolutely, 100% all for it. Attacking the, and I do mean attacking.
Go for it.
Attacking the COVID stuff. I agree with you in the sense that I know that that was there. I just could not be less interested in this smug, pithy, privileged take on COVID. For me,
Can I quickly ask, what did you like Bo Burnham's Inside? I just
yes,
want to get like a.
but that was. But the thing about that was that it was very much in the moment.
Okay.
Like that was like, and even Inside, and this is the point I was going to make is, I don't necessarily I understand that allegory is a thing, and there are a lot of great allegories, but I think when you're making something particularly that is so stemming from the pandemic, I think it's kind of bullshit to do that and then just make it this like, oh, it's just like this fun little hippy dippy hipster, like little cutesy little Wes Anderson ride, and those little moments were just kind of like embedded into the deeper situation, especially with like Jason. I always have struggled with his name, Jason Schwartzman, and who I think was one of the better performances, and his kids. Like all that stuff is definitely there, and there's some moving little individual moments. But the whole time, I was thinking about how this is the product of someone who wanted to write a project from COVID about COVID from his mansion. This is someone who sat in his nice, he probably calls it a den or a nook. He fucking pulled out his little typewriter, his little ironic mustache and his beret that he wears to fucking write these movies. Clickety clickety click. Like it's too cutesy for me to really like, because I think what I always say about Wes Anderson is that his best movies are the ones that are just silly. These two kids ran away and the people are trying to find them. A fox is a thief. These two goofy guys run this hotel, and they're being chased by people, and there's a silly little painting and yada yada. I think Wes sucks at this kind of storytelling specifically, and it sort of goes back to French Dispatch, where in French Dispatch there's a lot of moments where you can tell that he's kind of trying to hack and attack these political themes, but he has nothing to say, and he knows nothing about what he's talking about. The extent of what he can analyze and I'm not like a political expert by any means, but literally the extent of what he has to say about these type of things is, the leftists were rabble rousing in the streets. They were part of the they were part of the socialist movement, and then it's just Timothy Chalamet being like, I'm a socialist, and that's like the extent of like how much he can build out
Right.
allegory and like social commentary. He's just not capable of it because he's just a privileged little fucking like he's like the like that that's just it's a life of privilege. I don't wish ill on the guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like I think he's like the worst person in the world or anything, and I also don't think he's like done anything bad. It's more that I just think he's fucking clueless.
Sure.
I think he lives in his little he is a person who has been called a genius for almost 3 decades, and that goes to your head and you become someone who lives in a little bubble. And that's him. And it's not
I
a
think
bad
this
thing. It's just don't try to fucking comment on social issues when you're
sure.
just la la la. That's it.
I think this film, there's a few specific reasons why I did not have this reaction. Because this reaction I've had to a lot of pieces of art, specifically Bo Burnham's Inside. Like, sorry, I love that I was like, I'm going to try to be nice now on the
Beautiful
podcast, and I'm
both.
just going to piss everyone off. Fucking atrocious. And like, genuinely just pisses me off so much. But like, I think there's a few things. Number one, he does not directly say this is about the pandemic. I know, like, obviously it's about it. I think when you want to enter the realm and specifically outright say, I'm making a statement on the COVID-19 pandemic, you really have then a duty to say something worthwhile, to check your privilege. Here, he's not reminiscing, I think, on the pandemic, but emotions that I'm sure, like, no matter what point of privilege you're at, the emotions here of just trying to live in a world that's through a global pandemic. Not that I think he had any issues with like surviving the pandemic, right? He's very privileged. But I think that separation, even if it's light, was enough for me to kind of turn around on it. Unlike someone like Bo Burnham, who wants to sit there and fake fucking turning whatever age he was turning in a room in a mansion that he is Airbnb-ing during the pandemic to make a Netflix special with Netflix money. And then everyone wants to say, because I just what you said exactly, I would say about Bo Burnham. So I think that's a big thing. And I think here specifically, I don't hate that he doesn't have the answers because I don't think anyone has the answers to the questions he is asking. And I don't think he's trying to present this as if he has the answers. At least I didn't take it that way. I don't think he's out here saying like, this is how you deal with grief or this is how you deal with a pandemic or anything like that. It feels to me like there's this sense, and it's kind of, I guess I could relate it to Knock at the Cabin in a sense, in a really weird like comparison, is that I don't think Shyamalan is answering the questions he's asking. He's posing these impossible questions and ruminating on them in a way I really appreciate. Anderson's doing the same thing here. He's asking these impossible questions and he's not able to answer them. But it's coming at it in a way that at least I didn't feel the ego when it comes to the writing in a sense to where I would really want, like, I feel like he needed to answer that. So I don't know, that'd be my take on, I guess, why it didn't necessarily bother me in the same way. Sure, you can say everything else, and I'm not going to defend French Dispatch at all. Sure, fuck that. But at least that's my take on Asteroid City.
That is interesting that you compare it to Knock at the Cabin, because Knock at the Cabin is still my second favorite movie of the year. I adore that film, and I think that what I would say the difference is that Knock at the Cabin has a real like gravity to it, and it has a real sense of consequence, and it is impactful, and it's scary, and it's dramatic, and it has these real characters in it that aren't just these like little. They're almost like popsicle sticks. Like they're not even people. They're just these like little like Pez dispensers of these little like yuppie lines. It's just like the whole thing where it's just like, of course one of the characters is a fucking Hollywood actress because that's the only people he's ever met. Of course one of them is the like, it's just like, and then they just sit there, Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, just talking about her nudes or like whatever movie she was in or whatever the hell. It just, I don't know. I just feel like
No, I
he's
definitely get that. I don't think you're wrong in that. And I don't think you're wrong in like, this definitely is lacking a certain venom and gravitas, specifically within the play itself and the Asteroid City plot, that like undeniably I can see being annoying or feel like it's missing something compared to Knock at the Cabin, which is obviously this incredibly tense, dark, you know, feature where it's like, God, this just sucks and it's relentless. This is definitely, hey, we're Wes Anderson and oh, look how funny we are. We're running around the desert. Like, it's definitely, I definitely see where you're coming from. I guess it just didn't bother me, but it bothered you, and that's valid.
and I thought it had such potential to be his like Close Encounters or his Nope. You've got this compelling
Two films I despise.
No, I know. I more mean like I think it had the potential to be his Close Encounters or his Nope because it was this aspect. There was this aspect of discovery to it, and there was this aspect of this is an alien who people have never seen, and it's a bunch of people who are interested in science trying to figure out where this alien came from and quarantining. If that had been the movie, I think this would have been great. If that was not 10% of this movie and was instead 100%, I think it would have been great. I usually am not like the biggest like make the movie about kids guy, but I think in this particular case would have been a million times better.
I mean, if anyone goes into this film expecting like, oh, I can't wait to watch this movie about an alien, it's not. It's not there. There's two scenes with
Although
the
I will say
alien.
I liked the alien. The aliens
Yes.
are the only things I did like. Maybe we should.
I was
They look like.
sad they spoiled the actor behind the alien in the
Oh
credits.
yeah.
I was like, that would be
Although
great.
that's another thing I should bring up. Speaking of that person, there are so many like huge name actors, especially in the play part, who are there for 2 seconds. Hong Chow, girl, what are you doing? You couldn't have told him no. You couldn't have said, "Write me a real role." Really?
To be fair, I think this was
Not really.
before
Like I don't mean
everything.
to single her out because I'm just thinking of the like
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of all the people who pop in. Jeff Goldblum, who I guess is a regular. There's a few that are new though, like Hong Chow,
Margot Robbie is
Margot
wildly like,
Robbie. At least
what's up?
Margot Robbie gets like a real scene and like
Yeah.
gets like the what I suppose is like the thematic like punchline of the movie. But it's like, but that's another one. Yeah, Hong Chow, Margot Robbie, all these people who I think who do take very active roles in their own careers and take active roles in picking movies and roles that show them in a good light. And I think
Yeah.
that someone like Wes Anderson, he's very much like, all right, you do this because I say so. You plug in
Right.
here because I say so, and they all just say yes because it's Wes. Which I get.
But hopefully this gets him in the system and then he uses them again in
Right,
the future in a more meaningful
exactly.
role. Because like
Like a
I would
royal.
be really mad about how Tony Revolori is used in this film because I stand that boy, but he is luckily, he's fine in Wes Anderson's world. He'll be back eventually
He at
in
least
something
had
meaningful.
several lines.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hey, I think he had more lines in this than he had in Scream. That's pretty close,
that's true.
probably.
One of them was and scream.
I literally screamed in the theater when
Scream
he
that
was in
you
Scream.
stopped.
I'm the only person who cares about Tony Revolori, I think, in the world, but that's fine.
I like him.
Um,
I thought he was phenomenal in Grand Budapest. I really
yeah, I
did.
love him with that. And then he's randomly in M. Night Shyamalan's Apple TV series Servant, which I'm the only person who's ever watched.
I need to see them
Um,
so bad. It's just so long.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you do. It's not good. It's
Mm.
like fun, but it's not good. But he's in that, so I appreciate him there. Yeah. So, is there any last thoughts you have on Asteroid City that you really want to get out on this podcast today?
Wes, get good. Skill issue. Uh, hope the Roald Dahl short films work out for you, bud. I'll watch them for sure. I will always, as much as I after this movie thought to myself, I will never ever watch a thing this man makes ever again. I don't think that's true. I will always be interested to see whatever the hell he's doing. But I do think that ever since Grand Budapest Hotel did as well as it did and got all the acclaim and all the Oscar nominations and blah, 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 he has lost his way in a big way. And
Sure.
this, to me, no pun intended, was the crater.
I do think it's interesting that since Grand Budapest, though, he really like obviously a new high for him. He's not really like. I feel like when you come so close to being like an let's say like best picture, like in that conversation, normally you follow that up, and like Baz Luhrmann, I would say, did it with like these really not good projects, but that feel like you're trying to win an Oscar. I'll say Wes doesn't feel like he's trying to win an Oscar with these. I feel like he just went well. Yeah, well, the films between that, I wouldn't say that. But then also now he's just gone to like COVID lockdown and wrote 20 things that he wants to film. He's already filming his next feature. It's like insane. But I'll say that I don't feel like he's trying to like win Best Picture so clearly, which is nice, I
I
guess.
agree with that. And I also think that, but I think what happened is that he said, oh, my biggest, most acclaimed film thus far was the one where I took my style the
Right.
furthest. It was the one where he
Yes.
went full like maximalist and like really like dove all the way in. And I think what you're saying is very true. I think he's making movies for himself. Absolutely. That is evidently clear. But also, I think that he took the wrong lesson from Grand Budapest
Sure.
Hotel. He thought that the lesson from that movie was, okay, what's the crazy ass look this time around? What's the zippy little action sequence this time around? And it's more that I think that French Dispatch was just a good movie that had a great script and well acted characters, and it fit his style. And I think
You
he
mean
just,
Grand Budapest there?
yes,
You
yeah.
said French Dispatch.
Oh, whoops, not French. Although I will say, the one he's doing after the Roald Dahl movies is, from what I understand, something of a chamber piece that has Michael Cera and somebody else, and it's apparently much smaller. And I'm looking forward to that one. That's what
That
I will
sounds
say.
good. I
I
mean,
agree.
I'll say at the very least, Asteroid City, at least we were able to have a conversation about what this film was trying to say, about a goal here, about something like you can break down. That's an upscale for me from French Dispatch. So hey, Anderson,
Absolutely.
we're going up. We're rising here.
The only reason I would say that I like French Dispatch better is that I wouldn't say there's any sequence in Asteroid City where I was like, that was great. Whereas French Dispatch was a big stew of nothing. But here
Yeah.
and there were parts that I thought were visually stunning. There were bits and pieces I thought were funny. There were bits and pieces I enjoyed. It was just, he wanted to make 3 movies and should have picked one. But like, I
It should just made the Owen Wilson part. That's the only, let's
yes,
be clear. That's
absolutely.
the only part.
I inherently, even though I didn't like French Dispatch, I respected what it was trying to do more than Asteroid City. Because I think French Dispatch was more of
Valid.
him just being like, I've got all these concepts and we're having a fun time and who cares? And I hated it, but I can get behind that.
Though
This,
that was the first
I'm
one in
not.
COVID where he was really bored, so he just had a bunch of time to read The New
Mm.
Yorker, and he was like, love it. And then he started feeling sad about the world, and then he wrote this. So we'll see what the next one is. Hopefully he kind of gets rid of these COVID scripts eventually. But
It's Henry
yeah.
Sugar, I think, is the next one. It's the Roald Dahl shorts,
Yes.
which I think honestly will probably be good too because he has a good.
Is it animated? Do you know?
It's live action, I think.
It's I'll still probably
He
enjoy
has a
it.
good
I'll watch.
handle on that material, I think.
I
So,
just like, I don't know. I just rewatched Fantastic Mr. Fox and I'm like, let's go back to animation. I think that's also like, if he wants to continue to do this like style intensely, animation I think is far better to do that. And in live action,
I agree. Maybe he could direct across or Beyond the Spider-Verse in stop motion.
I'm sure the animators would prefer a change there. But you know,
Now I want to see it. I just say,
you can, you know what, Michael, like you're not going to go on to AI. I don't know how you do AI, but you're not going to go on AI and ask them to make you that tonight.
oh no, hell no! I'm just imagining Wes Anderson's Spider-Verse now. That'd be kind of lit, actually.
That would be, you know what, it would be fun because they do all the universes if they went into like popped into a Wes Anderson
There'd
universe.
definitely
That
be
would be
Owen
really
Wilson
fun.
as Peter B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. I'm a fan of that. Okay, so in honor of Asteroid City, our question of the week we're asking, I didn't want to do favorite Wes Anderson because that was boring, I felt. So we're asking our question of the week is our favorite alien movie. You can take that however you want it. Michael, what is your answer for what is your favorite alien movie?
My favorite alien movie is Arrival because I think that it is the most realistic portrayal of what I think would actually happen if there were aliens. And I think the procedural aspect of Arrival is something that I don't think has ever been done as well as that film. The slow unfurl of the discovery of their language, what they look like, how they get up to the ship, like all these little just like minutia. I just thought Denis brought those to life fantastically, and I just could not imagine a better Alien movie than that. Besides, and I just thought of this because I just rewatched it, but I didn't think of it. District 9 would be my other favorite. Um,
Oh,
I
we're
love.
doing that for our August Patreon special. I'm
Oh
excited.
no
I've
way!
never seen it.
You're in for a treat. You're
I'm excited.
in for a nasty little treat with that one. I won't spoil too much then, but that would be my other favorite. I really like personally when alien movies have a really kind of like topical, like
Mm.
real world spin. I prefer
Mm.
that to like Mars Attacks
Sure.
personally. Not that there's anything
Sure.
wrong with that, but for me, that's what I prefer.
You've just pissed off all the hardcore Mars Attack stands that I'm sure
There's
listen to
more of them than you would
ClapperCast.
think.
That's a scary thought. For me, I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia talking. I think it has to be Lilo and Stitch, right? There's only 2 Alien movies
Has
on
to be.
Letterboxd I've ever given 5 stars to, and that's one of them. The other one, and I'll just point out, I am shocked it got this high, was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I did give 5 stars, but we're not going to do that today. Lilo and Stitch, I think, is one of the best Disney films out there. Just incredibly sweet, incredibly cute. Holds up. I just rewatched it like a month ago and it was so good. Definitely one of the bright spots there in a studio that would very quickly after that just go completely downhill and just start producing like shit, but for then it was very fun.
I gotta see Lilo and Stitch again. I only saw it in theaters and I hated it, but
Valid.
I was 6, 7, so I can't really like trust my opinion. I don't know why I hated it. I
I thought you were about to say I just need to see it. I was like, huh, that's a wild one to not
no,
see,
no,
but
I've seen it,
valid.
and I'm definitely gonna watch it again before the monstrous live action version.
Before the sick live action one you're talking about,
Directed
it's
by
totally going to
the
be
man
good.
who brought us My Enemy, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. So I think that's going to be a rough one for me. Although Stitch can't possibly be more annoying than Marcel, so he's got a good. Although I'm kidding, but honestly, the visual style of Marcel the Shell, I think, would actually translate really well to Lilo and Stitch. So I'm kind of half joking, but like.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. I also was not a huge fan of Marcel. At least Lilo and Stitch will probably be more animation than Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which, let's be clear, is not an animated movie, but that's for another day.
I just see
Um,
Marcel and Pleakley, and I go, I see what happened. I see it.
oh,
I see what the stylistic link is gonna be. It's gonna depend on if Stitch looks good, but I'd say
it
there's
won't.
a chance. I know.
I want them. I so desperately thought they like learned their lesson. I thought we all did with the Sonic the Hedgehog like fiasco and Mario, but like just make it look like the character. It's not that difficult. And then Little Mermaid came out, and I'm just like, oh, it's over. They didn't learn.
The thing I think might be different is that Little Mermaid, they had to stick to real animals. Stitch
Mm,
is a original design, so I don't think it'll be quite that bad. I think it'll be. I think it'll look like him, and I think
right.
it'll be a little uncanny valley-y, but I don't think it'll be like Scuttle. I don't think it'll be
I'm going. It's
wow,
not
where
Scuttle.
you're just like, where the heck? I never saw that, by the way. I still need
Little
to.
Mermaid.
Yeah, I just kind
You
of
don't
want
need to
to
see it.
it. I know. I what happened was is I just knew I wasn't gonna like it, and I didn't want to contribute to the negativity towards it for obvious
Valid.
reasons. But like I just didn't want to. Even though I like, I'm sure Halle Bailey is great in it. I
Amazing.
I'm sure. I just knew that I was gonna hate the rest of the movie, and then that was gonna get like it was whether I wanted to or not. Yeah, I was gonna be one of the people who was like they're trashing it because so I just
I don't know. You might like the Aquafina Lin Manuel Miranda rap.
oh,
In
I've heard
sequence.
it.
I
I
think
don't
you're.
like it. I don't like it.
Yeah,
No,
I
no.
don't know.
The thing is, you have to remember what a like chronic TikTok user I am, and
Oh,
I'm
sure.
on like we call it film talk out in the streets. I have heard every single song in that film. Wild Uncharted Waters, actually very good, good ass song to be honest. There's that one, the very Lin Manuel Miranda song where she goes, "For the for the first time, that's the next time, for the first time." That one had Lin Manuel all over it. And then, of course, Scuttlebutt, which we'd be here all night talking about that one. I just like whenever Scuttlebutt is on, I just think of Aquafina going, "Oh yes!"
Oh, I don't know why people just
All I
don't
can grasp.
understand Aquafina should not be the comedic side character ever. Just not the
Where is the
role.
dramatic roles? Where are they?
Thank
I
you.
thought we were turning a
Thank you.
corner with the farewell. We were turning a corner.
I thought when she ruined Rey and the Last Dragon, well, bad movie otherwise, but I thought when she was awful, I was like, oh, we get it. This is not her. Nope. She's
Yeah,
never going to make the farewell again, sadly. Maybe she'll be in a Wes Anderson one. I could see it actually working
actually,
well.
yeah, I could see that.
Well, now that we've discussed The Little Mermaid in great detail, let's go to our rapid reviews because we do this only every other week now. So there's plenty of films we don't talk about. I'm just going to run through some quick ones. Elemental, I loved. I gave it 5 stars. I cried. I never cry in movies. This is the first movie I've cried in since Paw Patrol the movie. So that says something.
Yeah,
Truly
love
just
Paw
like,
Patrol.
it's
I
so
feel like
good.
you're gonna get the trio back for Paw Patrol.
Oh, no, for sure. That and A Haunting in Venice. It's like back to
Oh,
back. It's
right.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Um
that like you guys championed Paw Patrol beyond any other movie you guys covered.
because it was the best movie
No,
ever
we're not
made,
talking about Paw
possibly.
Patrol, but please continue. I was just
No, you're good.
commenting on that because I always thought that was
Yeah,
funny.
I think like for some reason, I don't know why the romance in Elemental for me, I was like, this is the best romance I've ever seen in film. Genuinely cried when they touched. I think that's like genuinely, boy, I'm bringing up really a great topic for you here. Really gave like Paul Schrader for me, especially like I don't know, just the power
Don't
of touch
get me
and
started.
intimacy. Very good, but we don't need to get a Master Gardener. That was a while ago,
Was
Michael.
Wade a Nazi?
Um,
I didn't notice that. Was Wade a Nazi with a not so subtle redemptive lens? Man, you must have saw a different one. Paul Schrader.
when we do our Master Gardener retro review in a few years,
I'll
I'll make
be
sure to
on
reach
town.
out
I didn't even
because I
finish
know you love it.
it. I left like 40 minutes in. I am a
Yeah, oh yeah.
Schrader hater to my core,
See,
despite
and I
his work.
I drink the Kool-Aid, I think, more than most.
Oh,
I
well,
just am fully there, but valid. But I hope after this episode you don't hate me. Yeah,
no, no,
you
no,
hate
no.
like Schrader and he likes Asteroid City.
The way, are we both giving our take on each other's rapids or no?
You
Okay.
can, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I liked Elemental a lot too, although I will say I'm getting a little sick of the Disney approach to social commentary where
Sure.
they want to delve into these real world issues, but they're terrified for legitimate reasons of how certain parts of the country will react to that. So they go, it's the fire in people, immigrants, and the water people who live in the city, and it's about like that whole way of like doing allegory, especially with like animation in the East that have made these really like
Mm,
fanciful stories about human beings and real
mm.
issues that actually like address them and don't just do it in this like cutesy like gift wrap package. Just
Sure.
a little sick of that in general, although obviously these are things that need to be talked about. So
Yeah.
it's a double edged sword there. Romance, I agree with you, was fantastic.
Yeah.
I really
Did
liked
you
it.
think there was going to be a plot spoilers for Elemental, like about what not happens?
Yeah, I
Did
mean,
you think
they
there was
showed
going
off.
to be a plot twist at the end where the air woman was like destroying the dam and trying to murder all the fire people?
That was not what I thought was going to happen. I knew it was going to be pretty straightforward. I don't know why.
Uh,
I didn't see any twist coming.
I was
I
fully like,
almost
holy
thought
shit, we're doing the plot where she tries to literally murder the immigrants. I was like, this is crazy.
that would have been better for sure. But then just, oh no, the water is flooding the town. But it was good. I really did like it. It took me a little
Yeah,
while. I was kind of hanging on for dear life at the beginning, but once it did
sure.
get going, I really did enjoy it.
My other ones I would talk about, I would say The Flash. Well, I'll do Indiana Jones first. The Dial of Destiny. I was really disappointed by. Well, I don't love a lot of the Indiana Jones films anyway. I really like the first one. I don't know, very boring, just nothing, dull, which is sad because I love Mangold so much, so
Oh,
much.
that's bad
Um
news for me because I love Mangold too.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
he's
I don't
not a
know.
single.
Hopefully you like
You
it
don't like
more.
it? Oh no. What do you think?
I
Think
was
I like
just
it?
no, but I
No.
hope you do.
Okay, interesting.
It's just like it's so nothingness until the yeah, it's not good. Which speaking of not good, why I saved it for last, one of the worst films of the year. Sorry everyone, The Flash is
Who are you
atrocious.
apologizing to?
Um
Ezra Miller? Everyone
no
agrees with
to
you.
there's DC stands. I've never got more
They
hate
don't
for an
even like.
opinion.
They don't
Never
even.
got more hate for an opinion than The Flash.
What?
Absolutely.
Where?
Oh,
Like
I got like
on your written review?
attacked
No.
on my tweet.
What?
Oh, I got like 100 people being like, "Shut up, you gay fuck," and it was
What
crazy.
was it? Was
Um,
it? Was it before it came out? Was it like?
it's the DC stands, okay? They
No,
don't
no, I
care.
know, but
They like
even like
these.
the Snyder Cut people don't like the Flash. I'm just wondering, was it like?
Well,
Was it? I'm just asking, was it
that was
post
the.
release?
It was before release.
Okay, because I know that like once it got in everybody's, that makes a little more sense. Because I
Yeah.
know like once it got in everyone's hands, everyone was like, "Hell
But that was the narrative. Me and the Snyderverse standing together for the first time ever.
no."
Is like 2 days after I posted it and I got all this hate. Then all of a sudden the Snyderverse people came and were like, "This guy's a genius and he gets it." And I was like, you know what? Didn't even like Zack Snyder's Snyderverse film Justice League, but like, good on you. Did you see the Flash?
No, and I won't.
So Michael, what are you gonna talk about for your rapid reviews today?
So just this afternoon, had a little boozy brunch with my pals, and I saw No Hard Feelings, starring Academy Award winner Jennifer Lawrence, and it is very cute, which is not the what I expected to think because you know recently with films like Licorice Pizza and others, there have been a lot of very kind of glamorized predatory relationships going on lately. Don't know what's in the water. We got to stop with that. No Hard Feelings almost plays like it feels like almost like they did like a Zucker Brothers like parody of Licorice Pizza.
Hmm.
It's so just because it is the whole dynamic of like the older woman trying to seduce the young boy. But she and Jennifer Lawrence is phenomenal in this film, as is the guy whose name I'm blanking on right now. They are both phenomenal, and what really works about it for me, and I know that not everybody feels this way, I will say that, is that I feel like she is always the butt of the joke. She's always the one who's doing something ridiculous. You're never laughing with her. She is completely outlandish. She's completely outrageous. And all of the laughs come from the fact that you're reacting as appalled as the kid is of all her different like attempts to seduce him. And that's what I think makes it really funny is that they know how creepy this stuff is, and they let it be creepy, and they let it be weird, and they let Jennifer Lawrence just absolutely go ape shit. Really liked it. Fun movie.
I haven't seen it yet. So to be clear though, the boy is over 18, right?
He's 19.
Okay. Well, hey, we're doing better than
Very
Licorice Pizza
clear
and Red Rocket.
everyone.
So
They practically look at the camera and go, "He's 19."
hey, you know what? I feel like more movies need to start doing that because they look at the
Yeah.
camera and they say he's 15 anymore. It's like, well, okay, that's not the vibe, right? Sorry, guys. Um, cool. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of ClapperCast. Thank you so much for joining, Michael. Where can we find you on the interwebs?
You can find me, King of Burbank, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, perhaps YouTube soon to come, and on ClapperCast occasionally.
Occasionally, you love to hear it. You can find me on Twitter at BP_movie reviews, Letterbox Carson Tamar. Thank you so much for watching. New episodes every other week. You can go listen to our Everything Ever Once review, our Portrait of a Lady on Fire Patreon review is already up. And in 2 weeks, I'll be back here with the lovely Nicolo Grasso to discuss Agnes Varda's One Sings and the Other Doesn't. God, I hope I got that right. And if I did, it stayed in. If I didn't, it got cut. We will see you then. Goodbye.